The feed is already live when the drone steadies itself above the nest. Wind pushes against the rotors, a soft mechanical hum struggling to stay level. The nest fills most of the frame. Woven branches, pale feathers, scraps of bark pressed into a shallow bowl. 2 eagle chicks shift awkwardly at the center. One lifts its head too fast and nearly tips over. The other flutters its wings, not to fly, just to regain balance. There's a sharp, breathy sound. Thin, panicked. The nest moves, not from the wind, but from something underneath it. The chicks freeze, then both react at once, wings beating unevenly, claws scraping against sticks that were stable seconds earlier. The camera dips slightly as the drone compensates. Whatever is wrong isn't above them. It's behind them, or beneath them, and the next moment feels like it matters more than the rest. The image widens as the drone drifts back, revealing rock face and open air beyond the nest. This is a cliff system, steep enough that falling means nothing survives the drop. The nest has been watched for weeks, though that reason isn't clear yet. The chicks are still young, downy feathers clinging unevenly, wings oversized for bodies not ready to use them. At this stage, their movements should be limited. Small adjustments, occasional begging motions, long periods of stillness. Instead, they are reacting to something they can't see. One chick turns in a tight circle, head down, pecking at empty space. There's no adult nearby, no shadow crossing the nest, no sound from above. The drone holds position while the nest shifts again, not collapsing, not breaking apart, just redistributing weight. Twigs press down in one section while another loosens. It looks like someone pressing a palm into the nest from below and then releasing it. The chicks respond immediately, pulling their legs inward, huddling closer than instinct usually allows. This is the opposite of what should happen. Young eagles spread when stressed, trying to appear larger. These two compress, lowering their bodies, as if they know height is a disadvantage. The first clear movement appears along the nest's edge. Not a shape, not a limb. Just a subtle displacement of feathers, sliding sideways against gravity. The drone zooms slightly, stabilizing on the motion. Nothing breaks the surface, nothing attacks. Whatever is there is choosing not to be seen. The nest was being monitored because the adult pair had disappeared for longer than expected. Not unusual at first. Eagles range far for food, but the absence stretched past normal cycles. The drone was sent to confirm chick condition, nothing more. The chick's age places them at a critical point, too large to be constantly brooded, too young to thermoregulate without protection. They should be vocal, calling upward. They aren't. They're silent now, eyes fixed downward, following movements no viewer can track yet. The drone shifts angle, revealing the nest's rear edge pressed against the rock wall. There's barely space between stone and woven sticks. That space changes shape. It narrows, then widens, like something breathing without lungs. A dark line appears, then vanishes. The chicks recoil, but nothing strikes. No grab, no bite, just positioning. Predators that raid nests act fast. They destroy structure, scatter debris, remove prey quickly. This is slow, careful. The nest remains intact. The chicks remain alive. One tries to stand, misjudges footing, and nearly tumbles. Before it can fall, the nest tilts, subtly, correcting the angle just enough to keep it centered. That shouldn't happen. Nests don't self-correct. Specialists reviewing the footage later focus first on the chicks' reactions. An ornithologist notes their gaze direction. They aren't tracking a moving attacker. They're tracking pressure. Every time weight shifts beneath the nest, their heads turn to follow the change, not the source. They react before movement becomes visible, as if sensing vibration through their feet. That sensitivity exists, but not at this precision. An arachnologist pauses the footage frame by frame. In several frames, something interrupts the symmetry of the nest lining. Thin, jointed shadows that don't align with branches. They don't move like legs in pursuit. They move like anchors being placed. One segment presses down, another releases. The pattern suggests restraint, not aggression. The expert stops short of identifying what it is, only noting that it behaves like something adapted to balance rather than speed. A wildlife analyst points out what isn't happening. There is no web, no silk structure spanning the nest, no wrapping behavior. Whatever this is, it isn't trapping in the conventional sense. The chicks are free to move. They just don't. As the footage continues, the drone's battery warning flickers briefly, then clears. Time passes. The light shifts. The chick's movement slow, exhaustion replacing panic. The thing beneath the nest adjusts again, responding every time a chick lifts a wing or stretches a leg. When they are still, it is still. When they move, it moves. Not to attack, to match. This is not how known predators feed. Keeping prey alive increases risk. It invites defense. It costs energy. Yet the nest remains stable, the chicks unharmed, their distress held in a suspended state. One expert suggests delayed feeding, but can't explain why a predator would choose such a precarious location for it. Another suggests environmental adaptation, using the nest itself as a tool, but admits no documented species does this with birds of prey. Questions multiply instead of narrowing. Why hasn't the adult returned? Eagles defend nests aggressively. They attack threats many times their size. No alarm calls are heard. No shadows cross the frame. The absence stretches from odd to implausible. A theory emerges about avoidance. If the adult detected something it didn't recognize, something that didn't behave like prey or predator, would it stay away? No one answers that. In slowed footage, a brief exposure reveals more of the hidden form. Not large, not monstrous. Several limbs extend briefly into view, then retract, each movement precise, economical. The limbs do not grasp the chicks. They press into the nest structure itself, redistributing force. The analyst notes coordination beyond reflex. The movements anticipate the chick's actions by fractions of a second. That timing suggests sensing, not sight. Laboratory enhancement brings no clarity. Contrast adjustments create shapes that vanish when settings change. Motion tracking highlights pressure points that shift in patterns no one agrees on. One frame suggests 8 points of contact, another suggests more. Disagreement grows instead of resolution. Someone proposes that the chicks are being conditioned, kept alive to maintain nest integrity, to preserve a structure useful beyond feeding. Another counters that no known arthropod invests long-term in Chuji species structures without modifying them. Yet the nest remains unchanged, aside from subtle compression marks that disappear when pressure lifts. When the drone finally withdraws, the last image is of both chicks huddled, breathing fast, eyes open, alive. Days later, the drone returns along the same cliff line. The approach is cautious, altitude adjusted to avoid casting shadows. The nest is still there, altered but standing. Some branches are repositioned. The lining looks denser in places, thinned in others. No chicks are visible, no feathers scattered below, no blood staining the rock face. The nest is empty in a way that doesn't suggest violence. The camera circles slowly. There is no movement beneath the nest now, no shifting pressure, no correcting tilt. The structure holds on its own. Analysts search for remains, for signs of removal, for any indication of what happened in the gap between recordings. Nothing fits cleanly. The footage remains under review. No species has been confirmed. The area continues to be monitored. This was not a finished event. It simply moved out of view,